Hi, it's James from ElectricBlu Contractors, your local electrician in Wakefield. So, as some of my customers out there and other people who follow us on social media and the like, some of you are landlords, and a quite important piece of electrical regulation is being brought in for landlords as we speak, and that is a rather exciting thing called the Electrical Safety Standards in the Private Rental Sector England Regulations 2020. Now, these regulations have been on the horizon for a while now, and it's basically bringing responsibility for landlords to have electrical safety checks, which are more properly known as electrical installation condition reports, on their private rental properties. So basically, a private rental property, currently you have to have a gas safety certificate done every year, but there is no legal requirement up until these regulations that are just being introduced to actually have a formal electrical safety check. And this has led to a number of in some cases really dangerous faults being unnoticed, and tenants moving in and finding them, and the faults and potential danger to the tenants, and it has needed sorting out for a long time. Obviously, responsible landlords out there have been doing this already without the regulations. However, these new regulations are now bringing in firm concrete requirements for you to have these electrical safety reports completed. It's going to be split how it's introduced. So as it stands at the minute, it's going to be new tenancies will have to comply with this from the 1st of July 2020. So if you've currently got a property that's empty, or you're refurbishing it or anything, but you're going to have tenants in it, a new tenant sort of near to the 1st of July 2020, then you are going to have a condition report completed on it. As I'll read into a bit, it's not just the condition report that's the issue here. It's there are duties to repair any faults found within specified times. So I'll read further into that. Existing tenancies do have a little bit longer to comply, so that doesn't have to be until the 1st of April 2021. So basically, as of that point, it's then going to be that every 5 years the property has to be tested. In some instances, if the report, if the installation is in a poor state, the report can be produced and it states that a sort of lower recommendation till the next report being completed. That might be 3 years, it might be 1 year, but in that instance, there really should be something wrong with the installation or on the verge of being wrong for it to be brought down to such a limit. Normally it's going to be every 5 years for properties that are kept well maintained. So it does imply some things in the wording of this new regulation, which is available on the government.uk website. I'm going to include a link below to a blog post we've done, so that you can ensure that you're keeping up to date with all of the landlord, electrical and fire safety regulations pertaining to smoke alarms and everything. There is a simple do you comply checklist, and again the link is below. If you check that out, then you'll be able to just check your property off simply against there and find out whether you comply, and if not, what you need to do to get compliant. The new landlord regulations, the electrical safety standards in the private rental sector, place a duty on the landlord to ensure that the testing has been completed by a qualified person, and that is the exact wording of the report. So the duty to ensure that that has been done by someone legitimate and qualified and ultimately registered rests with the landlord. So this is you really need to be checking out on the registered competent person website, if you're using an electrician, that they are registered and they are qualified to be doing what they're doing. You also have to supply a copy of the report to the tenant within 28 days. There is a duty of care on the landlord to have to keep the report for the next 5 years, so that then you have to supply that to the next person who is completing the report. Again, this is all laid out within the actual wording of the regulation. if you're going to be using different contractors each 5 years for your report, then you're going to have to supply them with a copy of the previous report. Obviously, if you're using the same electrician, they should be completing and saving these records for that length of time anyway, so that won't be a problem. Quite interestingly, you do have to complete the remedial work within 28 days. And again, there is a stipulation to that. If the report suggests that it needs doing sooner, for example, there's a really serious fault or something that represents a quite immediate danger on the report, that can be stated that the repairs need completing sooner than that. Then the landlord must receive a written confirmation, so that's either going to be a installation certificate or a minor works certificate. Again, this is going to depend on exactly what issues were found on the report that required remedying. But then the landlord needs to get that in writing, suggesting that it's been done and it's good to go, basically. Again, when it comes to the remedials, it does again mention specifically the word qualified, and that the duty to ensure that lies with the landlord. So this is really something that landlords need to be aware of, and you need to be checking your electrician out on the Registered Competent Person website. So that's as it stands at the moment. Now these regulations aren't going to be coming into force just until they're going through their sort of like motions have been signed in and everything now. How the Houses of Parliament and everything needs signing in. So, but basically it's going to be implemented by July 2020. So we're told. So I think it's just a formality and everything now on, and especially with what happened. And electrical safety in the past has been responsible for fires, tenants receiving shocks, and it's just not acceptable. Like I say, there's so many responsible landlords out there that this doesn't apply to. They've been doing this already, so it's there you go. Hopefully it should raise the standards of electrical installation within the private rental sector, and I will keep you updated if anything changes or there's any further news or anything that is disputed before the implementation of it. If you just follow that blog post below on the Landlord's Guide to the Electrical Regulations 2020, I thought that was a bit easier to swallow and digest than the full title of the Electrical Safety Standards in the Private Rental Sector. So if you want that all boiling down on a easier to understand level, have a read of the blog post. It just tells you what you need to do to comply and when your property will be compliant. If there's anything further I can do, or if you're in the Wakefield area and you need an electrical safety test completing on your rental property, don't hesitate to give James a call from ElectricBlu Contractors for a personal response.